Might have that, because you.
Good evening. And
Something you know about.
call to order the February 21st, 2018 meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. Start with voting minutes, first February 7th. Yes, Betsy?
Well, I've read them and find them substantially accurate. I don't have any comments on them. So I'll make a motion to accept them.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved. February 14th.
That was a dearest one.
Betsy?
I also found this good, as always, but I did have one question on page, of course, page 6. And it was twice, and I just found this one that I'm looking for, but it was something that Maury said, and people have to refresh my memory, because I'm pretty sure this word isn't correct. But remember, Maury asked about I think they're sediment traps? Was she asking about, were they called sediment? We're talking about the 40B.
Yeah.
And there were sediment traps, right? And you have them as sacks.
I know,
Yeah.
I had them as traps once and sacks second, so I picked sacks.
Yeah, twice. I think you have sacks twice, but it's traps. So with that change, I make a motion to adopt the minutes of February 14th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Okay, so rare occurrence, we'll go straight into request for hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings at the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. First, Carmela Cogosena, 5 Gate Lane, North Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to reconfigure the driveway and install pavers, remove fencing, establish a privacy buffer, reconfigure and restore previously approved native buffer plantings, add native mitigation plantings, remove invasive plants, install drainage, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Good evening, Joel.
You want this one?
Good evening. Joel Kubik with Holmes McGrath. As you said, this is a single-family house. This has been in front of the commission before for a few different orders. There was several additions, excuse me, and some modifications to the driveway that have happened in the past. Not all of those plantings that have been required as part of those approvals have been done. That's what is being modified up in this area along the canal. Some of those, sorry, got a cold, I'm trying to get over it, but.
A lot of those.
Yeah, but some of the required plantings are being modified as far as the location of them. The amount of them is still staying the same. There is a modification to the driveway towards the Ryder Road side. That is currently paved in that area, and there's partial gravel coming out to the road, and that is going to be a paver, a concrete paver driveway. So there is a small increase in the impervious area because of that. There are proposed mitigation plantings along that side of the property down there for that requirement, 2-to-1, because it's in the FWR Zone B to the BVW from the pond. There's drainage being added because of that driveway modification. There are also some landscaping plantings and some buffer that's going to be done because they are taking the fence down along that easterly property line. And Maria Hickey is here with us this evening to discuss any particulars about the plants. And I believe this meets all your requirements, and I hope that I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Did you want to present something, Maria?
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
Maria Hickey from Maria Hickey Landscapes. I can't get this, here we go. So I just wanted to speak for a moment that our work is just going to be minimal removal of probably like a handful of non-native invasive, like bittersweet, that's in this seagrass area. And then we're going to supplement and fill in the rest of what, needs to be there. If you look all the way down the canal along Ryder Road, it's seagrass, American beach grass, at every single property. So we're just continuing with that same idea and supplementing what's already there. We're going to be adding mitigation plantings along this band, which needed to be put in under the previous order, but because that permit had expired, that's why we're here, to get permission to do that work. All righty, any questions?
We'll start that. Would you like to start, or would you rather not start?
No questions.
Okay. Kevin?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. Betsy?
Well, actually, I have a little bit of question, a couple of questions
Sure.
for you.
Okay.
So, do you have the plan in front of you? Yeah, it's right
Yes.
near you. So let's look on the, what side is that? Kind of the northeast side, where all the trees are,
Yes,
and where the mitigation planning.
Correct.
And then there's supplemental planning in between. What are the symbols for the trees?
okay, so there currently are cedar trees that are right here, and we're going to supplement and add a few more because the fence is coming down and we want to create privacy.
What do
And
they look like on the plan?
there are
So
these,
they're two black star-like blobs.
these right here. Those are, okay, so these are two non-native trees that are precariously leaning towards the house that we're requesting permission to remove and to be replaced with native cedars. And then there's also a taxus, which is a yew. That's, I think there's one or two of them in there. We're going to remove those because we want to plant with bayberry, Miraca in a staggered fashion. And none of these trees here are going to be touched. These are all cedars. And there's a hedge that's been there for many, many years.
Okay, how about the circles with a dot in them?
Those are the new cedars.
New cedars, okay. And why are these two different?
Yeah.
This right here, these right here, is that what you're referring to?
There is a group of, see where
See where it says edge of lawn,
Yes,
right above that? That's different from the existing cedars.
and there's some more up here.
And there's some more of those.
okay, so these right here with the dark circles,
Yep,
those are, I believe, thuja that have been there for many, many, many years. They're about 20 feet tall.
They're what?
Arborvitaes that have been there about 20 years.
oh, so and the happier stars are cedar,
Correct.
all right.
So we're adding more.
It looks to me like the cedars are the circle with the dot in the middle.
Those are the
Correct.
new ones.
Correct.
These are the
Oh, okay.
old ones.
Okay.
Those are- okay.
These are the new ones.
All right,
These
and then-
happy ones here are the old ones.
And then there's, I'm sorry,
If those are the
butting
new
in, but this is
ones,
Well,
another,
finish what you have to say.
there's, then
Those
there's,
are
a-
arborvitae, those are arborvitae.
those are the arborvitae, okay.
Correct. I know, it's a little bit confusing. But basically, we're densely planting a privacy screen using a combination of trees and native shrubs.
Can I continue?
Absolutely, sorry.
That's okay. I mean, because it's on the same thing. You may as well clear that point up. So my concern is the proposed mitigation plantings for the freshwater wetland especially are all really in the shade.
You talking
So-
about this right here?
Yeah. So what are you
I'd
gonna
probably
use?
like to use viburnum up here, to be honest with you, because it's a better screening plant, and even a
And they
combination.
like shade?
They do.
Okay.
And they're gonna give better privacy, because there's telephone poles right here, and guy-wise, it's really unsightly.
Okay, those were my questions. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Betsy.
Jamie?
Please clarify about the beach grass. You're gonna supplement that?
Correct.
It looks pretty, pretty bad there now.
Yeah, we need to put quite a bit more in. So we're going to use, I prefer to use the 3-inch and 4-inch pots, because it has a much more established root system. So when you put them in, you don't have to worry about, geez, if a big, strong wind came up, the hair plug for men, like little plugs, tend to be uprooted a little bit easier. So we're going for, dense planting.
Yeah, I don't know if this is really a question or a comment, but on the west side of the house, are you doing any grading there at all?
Are you talking about over here?
Yeah, but adjacent to the house, yeah, between the A and B zone. I mean, the foundation vents have been flooded, and you can see signs of it.
I don't know what happened there.
It all slopes to the house.
The utility line was pretty
I don't know if there's anything we can do anything about it. Okay, thank you. Cool.
Steve?
Hi, thanks. The paver material, is it completely impervious to the driveway when, as proposed?
It should be considered impervious, yeah.
Okay, then is there any way to find an alternative to that might allow for some drainage? That's not what the client is asking for.
The owner
I
is
see.
requesting that those.
Also, the previous order of condition allowed it to be paved.
Oh, I understand that,
Yeah,
but
okay.
why not?
Right, no, I understand. It's
Would
worth
probably be
asking.
a better long-term solution,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, I understand. Thank you.
Peter?
Yes, could you clarify exactly which trees to be removed? I heard that 2 trees that were leaning toward the house would be removed. The print says existing tree to be removed typical. So I just want to clarify exactly how many trees will be removed.
2 trees will be removed, and there are these 2 that are right here.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mark?
No comments.
No comments. I have a couple questions. Do you know when the house was built?
I think it says it
It does say it.
first paragraph.
What my question is about, really, is there something in the narrative referring to repair of the underground irrigation system? And depending on when the house was built, I'm not sure we would have permitted an underground irrigation system. Do you have any point of view on that, Jen?
I bet this house was built.
There were additions that were the very first, or at least the first order of conditions referenced in this, it was in 2001, and there wasn't any such.
People allowed
yeah.
underground.
We allowed it, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then this is just a
Yes.
comment
Back in
on
2001.
those cedars that you're putting up near Ryder Road that we were just talking about. I don't have any objection to them being there, certainly, but I just kind of don't, as far as mitigation goes, I don't think that's a particularly useful place to put them.
Which one?
These. I mean, the water body's on the other side of Ryder Road, and so, I don't know. And there's almost no room for them either.
So we're going to add viburnum, which is a native shrub that can handle the shade, and I was adding those on top of the cedars, because it's a fairly wide area. Once that fence comes out, you have a good amount of room to work with.
Okay. All right. And, yeah, Betsy.
So, I understand that this area, this buffer area is existing beach grass, but really that's kind of like a dune. I mean, it's a sandy environment, and eventually you would hope that a sort of an upland dune area there would gradually become a more mature dune. So I think that if other natives, I think we'll have a condition that if other natives should start growing there, then they're allowed to grow. I mean, everything, all the natives should be allowed. And the reason I bring that up, not so much for your house, but another house down the way, it's clearly mowed. That area is clearly mowed, and it shouldn't be mowed. So that's all. I mean, it's not a question, it's a comment.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Anything from the public?
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Mark Campbell, 148 Bay Road, North Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to remove and replace 100 linear feet of wood bulkhead with vinyl sheet piling to be installed behind the existing bulkhead, to rebuild the wall return next to the boat ramp with similar materials, to remove and replace 95 square feet of concrete boat ramp, to restore the area behind the new wall with native plants and grasses, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Welcome back, Jeff.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
You may want to, unless it's easier for Jeff to do them separately, but
Yeah.
you may want to open both hearings
Yeah.
simultaneously, since it's
It
one,
seems with the
kind of be
ramp.
like one
I don't know.
project.
I'm sure
What's
Jeff
your
would be happy
preference?
to, wouldn't you be happy to do it together?
Okay, so we will simultaneously open the hearing for the property next door. T. Campbell, 147 Bay Road, North Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to remove and replace 160 linear feet of wood bulkhead with vinyl sheet piling to be installed behind the existing bulkhead, to remove and replace 375 square feet of concrete boat ramp, to rebuild the set of stairs next to the dock with similar materials, to restore the area behind the new wall with native plants and grasses and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Well, I may have to flip this back and forth because I got
No,
That's fine, Jeff.
Mark and Teague. They're,
Trying to make it easy for you.
we'll do our best to stay with you.
that's uncle and nephew.
Yes.
Anyway, Jeff Ryder with BSS Design represents the Campbells at 147 is here, and 148 on this side. This is 148 Bay Road Extension. So both of these projects are to reconstruct the wooden bulkheads and take those out carefully in segments, to then put back vinyl style. You know, if you look at the top view, you see the webbing of the vinyl. So on this project here on 148, we have 105 linear feet of bulkhead to come out, and that'll end here at the side of the boat ramp. And we're going to reconstruct that using, again, the vinyl sheet pile. At the top of that, there's a detail how we're going to kind of sandwich it together and put a capstone on top, or not capstone, but a cap, wood cap. And again, here's the top view of what we're looking at, the whale beam on either side and then the cap on top. So it'll have a nice finish. Section AA is called out here, shown here. It has a lot of details there and notes to rebuild that. We're looking not to use any tiebacks unless we go over 4 feet, which is only in a few places. So this will be driven down, it'll be 7 feet in the ground, about 4 feet out of the ground. And it doesn't need any tiebacks if you have that situation. But if we go up to 5 feet, which I think we have a couple of spots around the boat ramp, we're going to use some tiebacks there, and it calls it out in the notes. So going over to T. Campbell, we pick up from Mark Campbell, and we're going to rebuild 160 feet up to this point. There's a small return, so we don't have any washout in the back. So we're kind of tying that back into the shoreline. This this one has a little set of steps coming down, so we're going to be putting the sheet pile around a set of steps right here next to the boulder that is a threshold to this dock. This is T. Campbell's dock here, Mark Campbell's dock here. All these structures, by the way, are licensed and they're called out on the plan, so you can see those throughout the project. Again, the high water mark is on the face of the bulkhead, goes up the boat ramp, comes back along the face again, and it's called out here, it's elevation 4.3, and it rests on the face of the bulkhead. So, I guess we got both, what was that one again? I'm sorry, 95's, that's not right, I'm sorry. 105 linear feet, and this one here, 160 linear feet of bulkhead. That'll about do it. I'll take your questions.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Mark?
You drive this plastic
Yes.
from the water?
Most likely. He does have a small excavator. I was going to bounce this off you. I forgot to mention it. Most of it's going to be from the shore, but there'll be a little bit of work from a barge, a small barge, by the way, and at high tide. So he has a barge and a little mini excavator. And,
Keep out of the salt marsh, including
oh yeah.
with the barge.
I mean, we showed it here. We can reach that, I'm sure. Where there's trees, we're going to be working from the shore, in the water. Just the way it's here.
Plans to pull the pilot, the ties or whatever it is in there now, just pull them out, hopefully.
Right. We're not going to be, this is going to be a little tricky. I had a job here in the past project, and the commission did ask me to put the bulkhead in behind. So we've done that here on this job. So it means that you have to piecemeal this and take it apart gently and don't let the earth fall down and then knock in a sheet pile.
Do you have to do any digging there, or do you just drive?
I'm sure there's going to be some digging, by hand at least, to get something going.
These little piles ought to leave pieces behind, because they're pretty
Well,
rotten.
it's not, I imagine, you're talking about sort of breaking off and being left in the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah.
That may happen. We'll have to work around that.
Well, you're working in back of it anyway, right? Is that the plan?
That's correct.
Thank you.
But I would like to get all that out of there.
Sure.
It's mostly rotted away,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of silt going through.
That's all.
Okay, Peter?
Yes, on the detailed drawing, it says it's 8 inches thick. Is that the present timber or the new
That's
bulkhead?
it shows on the section, and you pick that up, and also on the top view, you see it's 8 inches on the sheet pile, the width of the,
Okay, so the width of what you are pile driving down is 8 inches thick.
well,
And the sheet piles.
yes, but the sheet pile is only about a 1/4 inch thick, and it follows that shape, that zigzag shape. It's best to see it in the top view.
Lower right of the plan.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And you'll see what it's made up of there.
And what is the expected lifetime of the sheet piling?
How many there?
Like 10 years or 100 years or?
Well, somewhere in between that, I would guess maybe 20.
Okay.
A lot of this is new technology, so it's, the sun's going to beat on it. And even though they may say it's, you know,
Okay.
sunproof, it probably will break down eventually.
Okay, thank you.
How's that? Steve?
I think that's.
I just have a question. The existing structures are at least 20 years, 30 years old, right?
Probably a lot older, yeah.
When they were originally licensed, they were licensed in 93 and they already existed.
Yeah, and it was falling apart then,
Was it really?
because I did the licensing.
Okay, so, yeah, they've probably reached their natural life, huh? All right, thank you. I don't have any real questions.
That's,
When you put this in, where it's been eroded behind what's there, are you gonna kind of fill in?
Sure, yeah.
So-
I think
so
it
you make it-
shows on the section there, on that section AA, it shows a little, it shows the eroded dip, and then the new proposed grade. So, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
oh, section AA. Oh, existing grade, right, okay.
See how we're gonna fill
Oh, yeah.
on the slope?
It's called section BB in the other plan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
BB on the other Campbell,
Right, right.
so I didn't want to get them mixed up.
Okay, great, thanks.
Kevin?
And I'm fine at this point.
Courtney?
Just a minor thing, on the cap on the vinyl sheet piling, you specify galvanized bolts and so forth. Wouldn't it be more prudent to use stainless steel?
That's fine with me, but, you know, it's kind of pricey, but,
Well,
if you want.
I'm just thinking, you know,
Why would you do that? I mean, this is. what-
because ACQ doesn't like galvanized. Over time, it'll break down.
The ACQ will or the galvanized will?
Galvanized.
Gavin,
Now, it depend, I mean, you know, it probably won't happen in my lifetime, but I mean, the additional cost of doing this is minor when you look at the scope of the project.
I don't have any problem if you would like to, you know, condition it with stainless, but,
Well, and I think you should explain to your clients,
you know, we'll look at the.
I mean, if they're investing all this money into this thing, it makes sense, that's it.
All set?
Marcus?
I have a question. Nobody's asked anything about the reconstruction of the boat ramp.
Okay,
Could you just describe how that's going to be done?
well, existing, as you know, it's a pitched boat ramp.
Yep.
It's got the
Pretty beat
sheet
up.
piles on either side to hold back the earth on the sides. I would like to, you know, tear out the old bituminous concrete. It's all crumbling at the base, and the whole thing's kind of a shambles. So that'll come out, and we would like to, you know, they want to try to do this, you know, using their own labor, you know, Mark and Teague, and Teague's got a boat business as well. So I think they're looking at rebuilding this in segments. So I say slabs, I think, in the narrative, but, you know, they can't pour it all in one day, you know, so there'll be a construction joint, you know, around these segments. And it'll look like, you know,
A sidewalk? or-
yeah, sort of a sidewalk, be jointed and made out of cement concrete.
So you're going to, that will be done over the course of a few days and,
Yeah, I'd say give us a week on that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Pull it in place.
yes. And you'd have to get the, I mean, you know, the mixture just right so it doesn't sag, you know, down.
Right, also the timing, you have to get just right, I would think, at least for the lower one,
Yeah, I mean, as far as the tides go.
as far as the tides go.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna definitely have to do that on a particular time. Yes.
Mark, did you have something else?
I
You're all
don't
set,
know.
Betsy?
Does this, I think we had this in another project somewhere. Is this
Yes.
a concrete that sets really quickly?
Well, you can manage that.
Yeah, I mean, these lower ones are,
They also.
get wet every day.
They can be cast in place up on a level surface and then brought down as well.
Well, that's what, yeah, didn't somebody just ask that?
Well, I suppose stored in place,
Yeah.
because you can get, pre-stressed slabs too.
Yeah, I understand that. They're not exactly, we don't have a nice rectangle to work with there. It's kind of tapered in. We could probably fix some of that with a new sheet pile, but still, I'm not sure it would lend itself to a perfect rectangle, so.
My only concern would be maybe those lower ones
Right.
be poured up in the upland and then
then
set in
brought in,
place
yeah.
and then work your way back up, just because
Yeah.
you would hate to have it not quite set and then have the tide come in and then,
That wouldn't be nice. I think, the one I recall that was fairly recent, I think they were planning to pour that entire thing in one day. And so we had them put in a cofferdam, I believe. Is that
They
right?
they didn't want to do the cofferdam, they did a sandbag
Oh, that's
kind
right,
of
that's right.
thing, which is,
Right.
yeah,
did it work?
yeah. I mean, they can do it. But they were going to do it in one day. If this is going to be kind of over a couple of days, I'm going to have concerns about the excavation. How far down are you going to excavate to pour those slabs, Jeff? I mean, you're going to have to grade, yeah, you
Depth
just,
or lengthwise down,
no, like
You mean
to what depth?
about 6 inches.
6 inches, okay. Mary, can I go? I have
Yes,
a few
absolutely.
questions. You said that they're going to do basically the southern property by barge?
Southern property.
Mr.
Is
T.
it T?
Campbell.
T Campbell.
T. Campbell.
I would
property.
say probably about half of that.
What's the reach on the barge?
I don't have that answer.
The only reason I asked, Jeff, is because if you look at where the salt marsh is on the south side,
Yeah, I know
and you
you're
measure
talking
it out,
Out here?
yeah, out there, I mean, you're still in a foot of water when you're 30 feet, unless I'm scaling this wrong, 30 feet off that bulkhead.
There's
So-
a couple of elevation twos along the dock.
Yeah,
It
but
could
still, I
reach
mean,
over.
that's still 30 feet out, so I'm wondering what the reach is on the machine they have, and if they are gonna be able to drive the sheet piling from a barge.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, you're gonna have that, and then you're gonna have obviously, the little excavator
have-
bobcat machine on the landward side. You're not gonna have it on the water side, correct?
They are gonna have an excavator there, a small one.
Where? On the, up
I
on,
would think that,
you're talking upland of the wall, correct?
upland of the wall, in this area here where the trees
Yeah.
are tall,
Yeah,
but there are some cedars in here where I think they're gonna have to, when I say here, can you see?
yeah, I got it.
And that they're gonna have to work on this side from the barge. Because these cedars go right down to the ground with their branches.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm more concerned with the salt marsh area. And then once you drive the wall, once you drive the sheet piling, how are they proposing to dismantle the wall?
Well, they're gonna be doing this in like 5-foot pieces.
Okay.
It's not gonna be all torn down, because that'll just crumble in.
Yeah, so what I'm getting at is protection of the salt marsh, just like Mark did, protection of the salt marsh, protection of the salt marsh. How are you going to protect the salt marsh while you're removing that wall? You're gonna have to have guys on the seaward side. Are you proposing to just kind of mat it with something while they're working, which might actually be your best bet?
Mat
Yeah,
on top of the,
yeah.
Hmm.
Just so you
Mat.
don't damage the thing by trampling it or
There will
anything,
be
just
people
try
down
to,
on that side, there's no doubt.
yeah, absolutely.
I would be lying to you if I said we're not going on either side.
And we would know that.
So it's a good thing you didn't.
So I'm just kind of wondering, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, I'm just a little concerned. And honestly, you don't have that much area of salt marsh, but a little concerned with the areas of salt marsh that you do have and how we're going to protect them. So, I mean, I
Well,
would,
that's gonna obviously flatten it down, but then it would bounce back.
it'll bounce back. But if you don't put mats down and you have people trampling in there and yeah,
Be a muckload, around.
yeah. So you may have to do that and you're going to be working in, low tide.
Again, can we consider a condition on that one?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We can condition that any work, any human activity in the salt marsh.
Oh, absolutely.
Has to be protected.
And you say that your clients are able to install the boat ramp themselves?
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have some concrete delivery.
Okay.
Courtney,
You're gonna drive the sheet piling behind the existing wall, then remove it, is that right?
Well, a little of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, do you know what the interval, I mean, are there dead men behind that wall? And
The
what's
dead
the
ones that
interval?
are there
There
are
have to
wooden.
be.
So the way they've done it is,
I mean, is it what are the dead men? Is it cable or?
no, they're timber.
Wood timber.
You could see them in the
Yeah.
loaded
See if
areas.
you got those?
They're about 5 feet long, and you can see them in the face of the wall. There's the butt end of the,
Okay.
so you have to cut those off.
That's easier than cable.
okay.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, one at a time.
Okay, you want to tell me which one first?
148.
I make a motion to close 148 and take it under advisement.
Just one favor, Madam Chairman. Jeff, just tell your clients they're probably going to see a number of conditions, just kind of tightening up the methodology a bit, just so we're comfortable. Okay?
Oh, no problem.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, Madam Chair.
That's all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. So now we need something for
I'll make a motion to close 147 and take under advisement.
And I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, unanimous, so moved. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
There are, Jen, there are conditions.
All right, next. Code order of conditions, 194 Appoquet Road. I think we need a quorum for this.
Okay, one second.
Stand a bit
Madam.
of time.
Well, it's everybody but Jamie.
Everybody but
We only
Jamie.
opened it, we opened it and closed it last week. The rest of
Oh,
the
okay,
time it
so
was.
it's
Mark, Peter, Kevin, Steve, Mary, Betsy, Courtney.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, everybody
last-
but
it was
Jamie.
last week.
Yeah.
Jamie was the only one.
Well,
This was the
the floats with the dock that's already there.
floats, the jet ski floats with the dock that is
Already there.
already there.
Well,
The jet
actually,
ski
it's
floats installed, without permission from the Concom. We did get, complaints, to investigate, so.
Well, I'll just say that I can't really see approving something like this because it will turn up everywhere. So, I'm not sure what,
It looks like it's 168 additional floats square footage.
Right, and they were already at the, they're at
Yeah,
the
maximum.
standard 96 square feet. And I think It's just unfortunate that he proceeded the way he did, seeing that he doesn't have a vote. But I just am not, I just fear what the future would bring if we approve this one, but I'm happy to listen to other points of view. Kevin?
No disagreement whatsoever. But seeing the gentleman and how he approached the fact that he was shocked that he would have to get a permit for doing it. The only thing that gives me pause is I would hate to be driving down there sometime next summer and see 4 ski-doos, or whatever you call them, in a cavalry charge for the beach, and to be run up on the grass.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not sure
It's
believe
not
the
a
shock.
reason.
He had an order of conditions for the
Oh,
lot. And there's also other work that was done there that some neighbors,
Yes.
asked
No,
us to
I
address.
understand. And again, it's not enough to make me approve of it, but I just want us to be aware of the fact that,
Yeah.
okay?
Right, yeah, I mean, I don't know what we can do other than keep an eye on it, but.
Yeah.
Betsy?
Yeah, I mean, should you see that, or should anyone?
Oh, yeah, I would.
Should anyone see that, that's a violation of our laws. the-
Yes.
And
No,
state
no.
law and our law, and. people
I
should
understand
call.
that, but like I say, it's something that bothered me, and I suppose will bother me even after I vote no.
Just to let the board know, the order of conditions for this dock was issued in December of 2015. They had another approximately 5 to 6 months to go to get their Chapter 91 license. And then the dock went in. This dock hasn't been in for more than a year and a half. So 2016, if it was even constructed in 2016, this dock has only been used possibly for 1 summer. And for the applicant to add additional floats to that without I was a little shocked just from a staff point of view to see he didn't even know he had an order of conditions. So I'm going to channel my inner Maury here is ignorance is no excuse for the law. So I understand the concern the board has, Mark. I know you brought it up with the salt marsh, but if we start using that as a reason to approve projects like this, that's what's going to be presented to the board all the time is well, I'll just park them on the salt marsh and you can come get me.
Will be held
And-
hostage.
People have said
all
that.
the time.
Yeah, and I
People
just,
say
I
that
don't think.
all the time.
Yeah.
And that's not
Yeah.
allowed.
And I will say, we do get calls from the Marine and Environmental Services Department when they do see boats up on these salt marshes and everything else, because they patrol these waters. So they do call us when they see an egregious kind of activity going on, so. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Assuming this is denied, do we need conditions as to how it's removed?
Yeah, they'll have to remove, we'll just put in that they're gonna have to be removed immediately. We'll give them a date, depends how many weeks you want to give them to remove them.
And things like, don't leave them sitting on the salt,
Yep.
stuff sitting on the salt marsh while they're engaged in that.
Mm-hmm.
Courtney?
So the entire rationale behind this for him was that he can park his jet skis on the float. Is that right? As opposed to putting them on the marsh.
Not
So
as
he has-
opposed to putting them on the marsh.
But I mean,
As
he
opposed
has,
Don't phrase it like
he
that.
trying to put
never,
'em
he
on
never
the deck.
considered other alternatives than putting floats in. I mean, there's no reason why he couldn't have had davits on the side of the thing, lift it up, put it on wheels, and roll it inland.
Right. But as you often say, we're not here to design people's projects.
No, we're not, but we can deny the ones that we see on the
Yes.
grounds that it exceeds what was permitted.
Betsy?
Actually, he made the comment, because I was talking about the amount of shadow. He made the comment that, well, sometimes he might just park it there. Well, the fact is, he does have a mooring area. If he just wants to park it at the dock, he can park it at the end of the tee. That's where the mooring area is.
Yeah, it's not on, but it's not on the side where he has his floats.
I know,
Well, the
the
floats
floats
are
have to
on
go,
either side.
but I'm saying there's a place for him to park.
Right.
One watercraft. That's what that dock's permitted for.
So.
Steve?
So, in lesson, is this decision made with prejudice?
No, all decisions are made without prejudice,
Okay,
Steve.
great.
He could come back and say he wants to amend the permit
I
to
understand
add
what
a
prejudice
lift
is.
or something. Absolutely, every one of your,
Okay.
I don't think I've ever worked with this or been involved in a decision by this board, and I've been here
That you felt was prejudiced?
12
No,
years
just
that was with prejudice. I could be wrong. There might be one in there, but that's it. They're all without prejudice.
Okay, so if he chose to make a modification of the existing structure and replace the 96 feet of T with, apparently he wants to get the jet skis out of the water. I mean, that's why you have floats, right? And there may be a way to amend that and stay within the 100 square feet with a float somehow, right?
Possibly.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, if, let's say
The world
he
in
came
there.
back, the only issue is he's got the fixed T. If he came back and modified the structure so that he could take away the fixed T and add, you know, add 2 floats to the end and somehow hook them to put his jet skis up like that. As long as,
Exactly what I was
Less than-
thinking.
yeah, if it- as
Less
long
than
as it,
100 square feet.
yeah, as long as, if
Right.
it's
It wouldn't be
within,
additional, it would be farther out into the mooring
Yeah.
field, deeper water.
yeah. As
all
long
the
as
other good
it's within
things.
that 100 square foot, this
Right.
board could
Okay.
absolutely do that.
Great. Don't feel as bad.
All right,
So I'll make a positive
Wait.
motion
excellent.
to approve the project as proposed.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter, yes.
I wanted to clarify something. One of the abutters withheld his name or her name, but they say that there was a patio built in the buffer zone.
Yeah.
And Jen was somehow involved. Did you visit the site, Jen?
Oh, I have visited the site. We also permitted the original one. I can't remember if if that patio is originally there or not.
My reaction is that it's worth looking into, but that
And I went back and looked
could
at
be
the
handled as a
pictures.
separate enforcement order.
Yeah, I went back
The fire
and looked at
chief.
the pictures, and I couldn't determine from the photos we had taken of the original site whether or not that patio is there, Peter.
And
I wish I could. I can't remember absolutely every site. The house was permitted a while ago.
So you did
Yeah.
investigate it.
And
Yeah.
the lights on the dock are within the original permit?
Well, there's,
Can someone
Maury
toss me
asked
that?
about
Well, no, that's
that,
what
and
Maury
she
said
seemed-
was, they did allow, excuse me, they did allow lights, but she said they weren't the right kind of lights. Well, I don't know whether that's true or not.
I don't know that.
right.
So we are concentrating on
Just the
just the
floats.
dock?
Just the floats.
The floats.
Okay,
That's what the request is for.
Yeah.
okay.
So I'll
Okay.
second Courtney's positive motion.
Yeah.
And everybody
I put a
remembers what that
positive
means?
motion. We need a
All right.
second.
All right. All those-
Second.
Do we get a second?
What is
Second,
going
second.
on? All right.
Quick.
All
Call for the vote.
all those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no.
No, there's one aye.
No, no.
One
I-
eye.
No, no. I missed.
Are we unanimous? No?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
We're unanimous.
All no.
All no.
Didn't you say?
Thank you. Now,
Yes
Yes.
or no?
the,
But you didn't
I say
mean
no.
that. I didn't
Okay.
mean that.
tonight's one of those nights where we do have other business not reasonably anticipated by the chair. And it's, Steve asked to talk to us a bit about CPC matters.
Thank you. As you know, I'm your representative to the Community Preservation Committee,
And we're glad you are.
and thank you for that.
You and Russell.
And I'm enjoying my time there.
Good.
And I haven't reported back to you on anything, but I'd be happy to do that, particularly on the areas that, have something to do with open space or recreation, the areas generally thought to be in conservation. Annually, though, we do a needs assessment, a community evaluation. We're having it at the library on March 8th. And unfortunately, we're not expecting a huge turnout. Traditionally, they haven't been well. Our chair, Russ, has made an outreach to the high school and other places to try to get some sort of input concerning some major issues. The focus of the anecdotal comments we're hearing are largely related to housing and the demand for housing, the issues of housing, and the need for the CPC to support housing. The Conservation Commission currently has 3 current grants from the CPC. And the issue that I'll, as a representative of the Conservation Commission, be asked by the CPC is, what are the future plans for the Conservation Commission that might involve requests for grant funding? Now, I have obviously waited until not the very last minute. We have one more meeting probably before this session, maybe 2. I haven't figured that out yet in my head. But what I would like to do is say that as we take a look at things, the Little Pond program that we did is very successful. The Coonamessett River project is exciting and has multiple additional phases that will be coming up over the years where there might be a need for us to go back to the CPC, or at least the desire to continue to have that community investment in a community project rather than seeking entirely out of the area funds.
Yeah.
Which Dr. Gladfelder has been very successful at obtaining.
But we really appreciate
many
the
stones
community
and
They
rocks.
funds
may
as well.
become less available than they have been
It
also.
depends on administrations and other things, but I just want to make sure that if we're thinking about something, for instance, just so this gentrifying systems that we'll be spending a great deal of time talking about, I originally thought that it would be if we could create a loan pool that would assist homeowners in getting these systems. Now, I realize that a lot of people that are in the systems that are most important from a conservation point of view tend to have relatively high home values and theoretically, high incomes. But we cannot, as a CPC, invest in properties we don't own, according to our legal counsel. So that idea kind of went out the window. But it was just to get my brain
Brainstorming.
working. That was one of the things I was thinking
Yeah.
about. We could, in fact, put these systems in public buildings that would have a positive impact. I'm speculating that we could do that, but I believe we could.
Other than affordable
Buildings we own.
housing, how does that fit with the CPC 4 areas?
What?
A public building.
Oh, the gentrifying system, it improves our environment.
But I mean,
It may not be appropriate.
right,
Under
but-
either recreation or open space, it
Yeah,
doesn't
okay.
seem to fit into those 2 categories.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
It seems to be more in the housing area. You're probably right. So we may not be the sponsor of that. That was just an idea I had
Okay.
that was environmentally focused. But we may want to work with other bodies of water. We may have other streams or property acquisitions.
Steve, when are the applications due?
April 18th.
April 18th. Okay. No?
No.
It's gonna be August.
Yeah, but April 18th, I've already
Oh, for-
investigated what you gave me. You told me April 18th, and I've had a discussion with
Okay,
Russ.
what is due April 18th?
They can only have, April 18th is only ones where there's a time urgency.
Right. The
Oh,
full
no, okay,
funding
yeah,
round
okay.
isn't until August.
So, okay,
Right.
August, thank you. The only reason
you.
Or
I,
decisions in January and.
yeah, no,
in
and
April.
that
Long
gives
lead
us
times.
time, because I am gonna throw this out there and I'll be calling. So the Little Pond Conservation Parcel Project, the
Right.
master plan, that actually kind of got put on hold because of the issue with the underground storage tanks
Yep.
that we accidentally found and had to remediate for. That whole project was wrapped up at the end of last year. So we are now able to start
Go back to
looking
that.
at going back and revisiting that project. So I mean, at least from a land management point of view, staff is gonna be coming to the Concom saying, we would like to put in an application, on your behalf for this parcel, but we need to go back and kind of revisit where we are in phases, meet with our consultants again, and meet with the 300 committee who has the CR. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there as a thought that may be one area that, one project that we can build on.
Okay.
Go ahead, Betsy.
So, and I was just gonna say, I
There's
mean,
still $11,000 in that account, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know there is, and we're gonna go through that. We were stopped dead.
All right.
The
And
water.
I can give you information like this
Yeah.
if you're interested.
That might be a good time to have like a quarterly report from you, Steve.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, not tonight.
so I
No,
just,
not tonight.
I just wanna point
I
out,
could do that.
No, I think that would be good.
I'm sorry. Betsy.
Update, just think of it as an update.
Thank you.
I just wanna point out that frequently we work with the 300 committee and the current CPC grant we have and some future ones we're thinking about will be joint with CPC, both for recreation and for land acquisition. And so, I'm glad you brought this up because this just always gives me ideas to think about
I was certain
other
that would
kinds of
happen.
projects. But I'm not sure, I'm ready to bite off another project yet. But, yeah, that's great.
Okay.
And
What if,
were you,
do we have funding like I shouldn't say more, for the signs on the Gateway
they
Heritage
won't
Trail?
fund the signs.
Right.
Well, what about something like that then?
They won't fund them.
It's not an
That's-
CPC
eligible
won't.
expense.
CPC won't fund them. And I've applied for, yes, I have applied for a grant from Massachusetts Environmental Trust for those. But CPC is funding the bridge that we're currently
Yep.
building, so,
Yeah.
And I just don't want to bring up this.
no,
Okay.
that can be taken care of.
Okay.
But a notice of the meeting was distributed to the members?
Actually, we got a call or an email from Carol, or a call from Carol today, I'm not sure which, Courtney was asking me. Carol was going to be writing to, I believe, the chairs of the boards. Mary
I
will be
thought that had
getting a
already occurred.
notification.
I apologize.
Yeah, and
Carol
so,
Sutherland.
yeah,
no,
Carol
I-
Sutherland, the CPC's administrator, was going to be reaching out to the chair of the Conservation Commission and other boards to invite them to the quarterly, or to your needs assessment workshop, if that's what it's
I
called.
thought you might have received that already.
This is the thing at the library on March 8th?
Yes.
It's called a workshop. I mean,
It's called a needs assessment.
Yeah.
okay.
It's required by law.
Yeah. Is it an evening thing?
Yes, it's a 6 o'clock we have a meeting, and then 7 o'clock is the needs assessment.
Okay.
It's, if you haven't been to one, it's interesting because
Yep.
you meet people that are interested in these different areas and it gives you a lot of good
I
ideas.
hope some people show up.
And, sometimes you might be able to help people in another area and vice versa.
So, anybody watching today and is interested, they should show up on
Yes, they should.
March 8th, 7 PM at the
Herman Room?
Herman Room of the Public Library.
Okay, great. And
Thank you,
a
Madam
week
Chair.
to think about these things. You're very welcome. Thank you for bringing it up.
With that, I make a motion to adjourn.
You may.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous,
My other
so
meeting,
moved.
maybe.